Hello everyone. Today we will read a patriotic poem. The name of the poem is The Gift of India, written by Sarojini Naidu. Let us know about the poetess. Sarojini Naidu was a distinguished poet, renowned freedom fighter, and one of the greatest orators of her time. She was famously known as the Nightingale of India. Sarojini Naidu was the first Indian woman to become the president of Indian National Congress and the first woman to become the governor of an Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. So let us know the theme of the poem. The Gift of India is a poem written in 1915 by the Indian poet, freedom fighter, and politician Sarojini Naidu. The poem is a tribute to the contribution of Indian soldiers in World War I. Over 10 lakh Indian soldiers from the British Indian Empire served in the Allied forces in the First World War. A vast number of them sacrificed their lives. Indian troops fought in different locations of significance to the Allied stronghold and had an important share in many of the battles throughout the course of the war. However, the contribution of the Indian soldiers is overlooked in the vast expanse of the war's history. These selfless sacrifices of the Indian soldiers for the Western agitation are captured in Naidu's poem, The Gift of India. The poem not only concentrates on the theme of soldiers making their ultimate sacrifice for someone elsewhere, but also talks about the numerous benefits the foreign countries reaped from India. The poet regards these benefits as gifts given by India to the colonizers. The poem can be regarded as a kind of reminder or appeal to the Allied forces to remember the Indian contribution to their victory. Now, let us read the poem stanza wise. In the first stanza, is there aught you need that my hands withhold, rich gifts of raiment or grain or gold? Lo, I have plunged to the east and west, priceless treasures torn from my breast, and yielded the sons of my stricken womb to the drumbeats of duty, the salvos of doom. The first stanza begins with Mother India asking if there are any more sacrifices left for her to make. She has given the world rich gifts of cloth, food, grains, and precious things like gold. India has furnished priceless treasures of her land to the countries to the east and the west. Moreover, she has sent her sons, that is, the youth of her land, in distant battlegrounds to fight someone elsewhere. She questions what more can the nations of the world expect her to give them? In order to understand these lines, we must look at India's history, especially the time around which this poem was written. It was 1915, in the middle of World War I, when India was still under the British rule. A lot of Indian soldiers employed in the British forces fought in the World War for the Allies. The poem can be seen as the poet's homage for these soldiers. Under the British rule, India was exploited for its riches and resources. Here, the poet acknowledges this fact. The very first line of the poem shows India's sentiments of anger and the question, is it not enough that I have given everything? The word sabres of doom especially catches our attention. They represent the nature of the war and the devastation it leaves in its wake. Stanza 2. Gathered like pearls in their alien graves, silent they sleep by the Persian webs, scattered like shells on Egyptian sands, they lie with pale brows and brave broken hands. They are strewn like blossoms mown down by chance on the blood-brown meadows of Flanders and France. In the second stanza of The Gift of India, the speaker, Mother India, shows the sacrifice of the Indian soldiers from a different angle. These brave soldiers who fought and gave up their lives are buried in mass graves in the foreign countries where they died. They were away from their homeland, and even their bodies did not get the comfort of finally resting in their own motherland. The speaker says that they sleep by the Persian waves and scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. The speaker says that these dead soldiers lie with pale brows and brave broken hands, further intensifying the image of death and devastation. The bodies are scattered like carelessly trimmed flowers in the battlefields of Flanders and France. The poet uses of the words by chance, speaks that in her eye the soldiers did not deserve to die. Also the comparison of the warriors to the blossoms signifies how the motherland sees them as valuable human resource. Blood brown meadows expresses the horrors of war and war fronts in a rich poetic language. Though completely contrasting with the subject it poses as an apt metaphor. Stanza 3. Can ye measure the grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the words I keep, or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair, and the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer, and the first sad glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory? In the third stanza of The Gift of India, the speaker talks to the foreign countries. She asks them if they can measure her grief and her tears or know her woe, her sufferings when she watches all this. She says that they can never fathom the pride that thrills through her heart in spite of her despair. The poet suggests that the speaker, despite her sadness and deep rooted anguish, is proud of her sons who have fought bravely and brought victory. She gives expressions to the voices of countless Indian mothers whose sons have fought in the war. The poet says that the people of the warring nations can never comprehend the small hope that comforts these mothers from the pain of praying for their sons' safety. Stanza 4. When the terror and the tumult of hate shall cease, and life be refashioned on anvils of peace, and your love shall offer memorial thanks to the comrades who fought in your dauntless ranks, and your honor the deeds of the deathless ones, remember the blood of thy martyred sons. In the last stanza of the poem, the speaker talks about the ensuing peace after the war and the martyrdom of the countless soldiers. The terror and tumult of fate which has created the war shall end and there will be peace. Life will be refashioned. It will go back to normal with drastic new changes. People will pay their respects to the dead who fought in the war, the comrades in many ranks who gave their life. They will honor the deeds of those soldiers who will never be forgotten. When such a time of peace comes, the Speaker asks that the blood of her martyred sons be remembered as well, that they be honored as well. What is curious here is the poet's use of the phrase on anvils of peace. This implies that the process of getting life back to normal will not be an easy one. It comments on the after effects of wars in general. The poem The Gift of India started as a celebration of India's contribution to the cause of others, but it ends up as a strong war poem, concentrating both on the evils of destruction war brings and the mourning, as well as the courage, honor, and recognition of the heroes who fight in it. As always, Naidu's poem arouses a sense of pride and patriotism in the hearts of her countrymen. Thank you, students. Hope you have liked the video.